What's up, everyone? I'm so excited to be tapped in with you all today. Today, I am going to be touching base on a special topic, in spirit versus faith, understanding motherhood as a rite of passage, and claiming our birth ceremonies. I am so excited because I'm going to be doing it with my midwife sister, Akasha. We've been on this journey in past lives to generation. We are spreading the gems and giving all of our generation this knowledge and just paying our karmatic debt. Hi!
Pieces.
How are you?
I am well. I'm well. How you doing?
I'm good. It's so nice to have you on here with me.
Peace, everyone. My name is Akasha. I'm from New York. I am a spiritual practitioner, a traditional midwife, an artist, a gardener, cultivator of the land, and I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you, sis, again for inviting me to your platform. And I look forward to this build tonight.
Thank you for being here. I just want to start off by saying thank you, everyone that's tapping in. I just want everyone to remember that we're not bashing anyone at all. This is our experience, opinion, and perception over birth and with spirit, and the whole abortion ban and thing in the aspect. Sensitive topic. As we all know, I just don't want to anyone's toes. So if it resonates with you, it resonates with you. Thank you so much. We're going to start off with a ritual. I always start off with some type of reading, a poem, a passage from a book, or anything in that aspect. But we're going to start off with a ritual. Everyone, I want you to either get a candle, some Palo Santo, some sage, anything that resonates with you when you do ritual.
I was also compelled to pull a couple cards and opening this readings. Okay. I'm going to be using two of my favorites, the Hoodoo Tarot and then the African Goddess Rising Oracle, just to open up in that energy, connecting with the mothers, connecting with the ancestors, just getting a message from them and their grace in opening up this live and speaking on this. Everybody, if you have a candle, as Octavia said, your incense, you can light it now and just sit in that space. Find a space of stillness in this moment. We do a lot as women. We put in a lot of effort and energy, taking care, running our kingdoms, our queendoms, taking care of our children, running our businesses, going to school, developing ourselves. So just take a moment to hold space for yourself, to be in that stillness, in that silence. Okay. Now just call upon the honorable ancestors and the spirit of the divine feminine and the mothers to guide us and give us a message. We have Mother of Knives, also known as Mother of Swords, Queen of Swords, and an Aizan. Yeah, this is right in alignment with, because what we're opening with right now, this conversation and what we're about to go into, we dealing with the mature feminine. We dealing with the mother. We're dealing with our crone energy. That and tapping back into this feminine power during this age of Aquarius, because this is the return of the crone mother. Saturn is the traditional ruler. Okay, so it is time for us, if we're stepping into our goddesshood, we're stepping into our queenship, we have to take the full responsibility that comes with that and the decisions that we make and what we allow into our energy fields, what we focus our attention and intentions on. So it's important that we walk our talk and that most importantly, we sit in our flow. Our feminine principle is that of birth. It is a formation of creation. When a seed is planted, it will germinate. Right? because fertility is our principle. So as we walk on our path and we face the challenges, it's important that we keep that unshakable faith, right? What is the point of using your power and tapping into your magic now if you're going to worry,
Right.
if you're going to be in fear? You have to be in love. You have to tap into your frequencies of power. And
that was so beautiful. Thank you for that. First question is going to be, what are the spiritual implications of Roe versus Wade abortion ban? Individualist views of abortion. Just want to know if you have any fear that they have banned, our human rights, our daughter's human rights.
I have no fear because I'm walking my path and I'm on my square. With all of the wounds that we've been through as divine feminine and even the divine masculine, things have become very, very touchy now. Things are like inflamed, right? It's very inflamed and flared. So what we want to do is bring wisdom to that. When we tap into our wisdom, is the first thing to do is go back to look at our ancestral ways. Historically, when it comes to abortion, women only did it worked historically for us when we were enslaved. On the plantation, as we know, women were raped by the plantation owners, and they were also set up to breed with certain men, to keep that labor going for the fields. Now, and we had access to our traditional midwives and our wise women who understood how to use the abortifacient herbs and would prepare and help us, administer it. That worked for us during that time. That worked for us post-slavery, when the effects and the trauma of slavery has set in, even after we were out of enslavement, and you had a rate, a higher rate of Black men who were beating and being violent, to their wives and families as a result of what they've been through. And you've had women who, of course, you in an abusive situation like that, you may not necessarily want to bring a child into that situation. And even then, we still had access to our traditional midwives and wise women. Worked for us in those times. Now, when you go back even further than that, culturally, a lot of times abortion, from my research, I've learned is that it was done when the pregnancy was putting her life at risk, or there was a great chance that the child would come out deformed or in a way where they couldn't fully function. So then the ancients, understanding that spirit is going to come back, in a different form, that was done. And I want to point out, most importantly, when they were done, us being, those civilizations being more spiritually in tuned, there was a ritual, and peace and placation had to be made with the spirit that we chose not to birth. Because even though we didn't bring that spirit fully into physical existence, the spirits are still walking with you. They're part of your tribe. So you have to make peace with and connect. And I think that's a big thing when it comes to that, because it is a woman's choice. But you understand that there are spiritual implications and responsibilities that come with if you choose not to carry your seed to full term.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at European culture, and particularly Western culture, Greco-Roman, Anglo-Saxon culture, which is the British Empire, in their culture, women were heavily oppressed. Their bodies were policed and controlled, even from in the lower class and even in the, the hierarchy and the aristocracies. Women's moves were heavily controlled and scrutinized. Okay, the role of, a wife and a mother, socially, it was equivalent. That social status was equivalent to a slave, or a doula, which was the term for a female slave back in ancient Greece. All right, so when you look at Western culture today, the way it's governed, particularly in America, it's governed basically identically to how the Greco-Roman and the British empires were governed. Hence, you see the feminism movement, the suffrage, all of that comes from Greco-Roman culture. Back then, women were not allowed to vote. They weren't allowed to own property and accumulate wealth. They were looked at as, you know, fields to just plow and have babies for the men to continue their progeny and their lineage. And you see a lot of that, what's going on, the way women were viewed and treated in America. It's in that same manner. Our mix up with it, because I think, you know, we can't touch on this topic without looking at, you know, what the intersections, right? And the different ethnicities and race. We can't talk about it without the race and the politics behind it. When we, during enslavement and during that interaction and that oppression with the Caucasian, some of us began to take on their ways and acquiesce, you know, to their way and their foreign policies. So, and then also during, you know, the feminism movement and the suffrage, because Black women experienced that same treatment, and it was byproduct, you know, because we were women, and then, you know, we're Black women on top of that, you know, it's understandable why some sisters identified with it. I get where certain aspects of feminine is going, but if we really want to take back our power, we have to incorporate a little more traditional ways, more ancient ways into what we're doing. The most successful cultures and civilizations, they always find a way to embed or remix the traditions and bring it into modern day.
I say to everything you said, and shed light to and gems and wisdom about that topic, because like you said, it's extremely sensitive, and it do start off with the whole disconnect. It's basically a disconnection between the modern day we're living in and the Western views of this whole thing. And like you said, the cycle is repeating itself even in today's times with abortion. And when COVID was happening, the dads weren't being able to be in the rooms with their partner. That happened back in the day as well.
Exactly. Keeping the women separate from the men and putting the women through a whole succession of giving her enema and just trying to force the whole process of birth and just interfering with that natural process.
Exactly. So it's like we never had a voice. If you really look at it, do we really have a voice in anything anymore? Like it's just really sad. So thank you for that. What is the role of a mother spiritually? And I love this question because you taught me so much as you are a mother, and you have older kids as well. Just being spiritual, you know, pouring that into your children's life is amazing, and you've taught me a lot. So that's why I really want to tap into this question. What is the role of a mother spiritually for the ones that out there that do this and want to possibly try an atmosphere around their foundation and home?
The role of a mother spiritually, a mother is a gatekeeper. She's a protector. She is a facilitator of growth. We help our children navigate through life's spectrum of emotions and experiences, you know, as they transition from a child into adulthood. It's an important function in the feminine essence because there's no rite of passage without the feminine being present. The feminine energy assists through that. We are mothers and we physically have children. Like, we literally embody that energy even more so. Us as women, we have it. You know, we do it with our children. We do it with the men in our lives as well. This is why you see the images in ancient cultures, you know, and during the matriarchal eras, you see the Madonna and the child, and this image is even still kept and used through in Christianity today. In essence, you know, the feminine energy it's a little more mature and older, or more closely linked to spirit than the masculine. Not that the masculine is not, but you know, the masculine represents, in a sense, that ego as well, and that child that has to go through that journey to mature, go on that quest. You know, the hero goes on a quest to realize himself, and it's the feminine energy that shows up the entire way. So that's what we do as mothers with our children. We assist them with that, but that takes a certain amount of maturity as well. You know, we have to have gone through our experiences and processed things, and you know, the delicate nature of, you know, our situation as Black and Indigenous women. You know, a lot of us became mothers young ourselves. That's been, you know, one of the generational traumas, or result of the generational trauma, you know, and not teaching the children, and, you know, still holding on to your pain, and then it's being passed on to your daughter, then it's being passed on to your granddaughter, you know, passed on through the generations. So it's like, yo, we have to understand how to connect with this energy so that we can better embody it and channel it. We have to tap into the wisdom. You know, that's that Sophia energy, that wisdom. It's in us. It's not in a book. It's not on Google. It's right within, literally.
Ashe, ashe. Do we know why behind our desire birth is a form of manifestation? Do they know the true intent behind the, you know, birth?
I mean, that urge to want to birth, or that sexual creative energy, we all have it, you know, and if you're healthy, you have a healthy amount of it. We can't deny that energy. It's part of life. It's part of creativity. So it's a healthy thing, but it's important that we understand and we know why we're doing it and why we want to do it. And when it comes to birth, more so because this is a lifelong relationship that requires, you know, energy, attention, and devotion. Even as your children get older, you know, the relationship changes. That's something I've found too. And that's why sometimes you see there's issues between parents and children, because you don't realize the rites of passage and the growth that y'all go through in a relationship. Just like we go through these transitions individually, we also go through them in relationships too. So it's important to recognize that. Important, like your child is going to be with you for life, and that's like one of the most primal connections. Like it's so primal, and children, you know, some people do it because, you know, you was in love at the moment, you know, you was you was on it, you said, I'm having a baby tonight. You know, or, you know, maybe you weren't thinking about it, you know, or you were being irresponsible. Technically, you was just in a moment. Some people, they know why they want to have a child as well. You do have, you know, people who plan pregnancies, yeah, and things of that nature. Yeah, but it requires a lot of energy to take care of a child. So we have to be ready for that. And it's important that we, you know, we have a level of maturity, or even if we realize, because like myself, I had my oldest at 19, and I had my first three I had all of them throughout my 20s, but my first three in my early 20s. So throughout my 20s, I dedicated a lot of my time. I had to dedicate a lot of my time to raising my children, you know, and taking care of them. And within that, I also realized, you know, my pain and where my wounds were and how it was important, if I was going to have, you know, a healthy relationship with my family and for us to thrive, like I had to address those wounds. You know, I had to get to that place of maturity, because if you're not mature when you have children, like they'll really bring the immaturity out of you. They will. Because they're immature, and babies are born premature and undeveloped, and children are. That's the kind of being you're dealing with. You're dealing with an emotionally immature, very immature being, and you have to have the wisdom to guide them, because they are gonna try it. They are gonna test you. They're gonna, you know, they get out that cute stage. When they get out that cute stage and they ain't cute no more, it's like, yeah, you experience a whole different world of emotions. Like, whew, I'm not sure if I can like my child right now. So, you know, you got to be tapped into that unconditional.
One comment below. My son definitely helped me mature. I feel you on that, and I feel everything. I resonate with everything you were saying.
Keeping it 100, I would tell her, have a home birth. Like, I'm gonna just put it out here. I mean, I've made it clear on my page. I'm a traditional midwife, so you know, I deal with the traditional, the original ways. And we weren't having our babies up in these hospitals and these institutions. I would tell her, seek a midwife, particularly a traditional midwife, or a midwife that resonates with you. Okay, and exercise your power to have your baby at home. Take control of your birth ceremony, because that's all they're gonna do in the hospitals. They're gonna try to instill fear inside of you. They're gonna try to push and pass your boundaries and invade your space and tell you what to do. And, you know, technically, because it's like they feel like, well, you're in our vicinity, so we're going to govern this. It's going to be a fight. It's going to constantly be a fight and constantly be a war, because, you know, they want control of it.
Right. If your OB is installing fear in your like birth experience, that means that you know, OB is not good for that particular client. You're not supposed to be installing fear in anyone, especially when it comes to this work. So yes, if anything, have a home birth. Right. Choose a different
person. Any provider. Don't get me wrong. Any provider, because I'm not gonna sit here and act like, you know, all midwives are pristine either. I've come across some unsavory ones. You know, you could suggest, at the end of the day, people are going to make their decisions too. And sometimes, you know, especially when you tapped in and you can see things and you feel energies, and it's like, no, don't go that route. Like, yo, you have the power. Like, you know, sometimes you could want for somebody more than they want for themselves, unfortunately. And we have to be real about that. So I would say, you know, suggest from a place of love, you know, be gentle, you know, come from wisdom and love. And if it's meant to be, then, you know, the mothers, they will get the message. And if not, then that's a karmic lesson she gonna have to learn. See, that's the thing about Saturn, you know, and Chrome mother energy. Like, that's big mama. It's like, okay, you want to keep running into a wall and bump your head, you want to do it, you tire yourself out, and you finally get the lesson. Like, the universe has nothing but time. So you got to keep doing it over and over and over until you finally be like, okay, like that's going to be the case. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't save her. She don't want to be saved. Don't save them. Don't save them. They don't want to. Well,
yeah, it's really tricky when it comes to a lot of the stuff when it comes to the birth work. A lot of stuff that goes into the spiritual aspect of the birth world. It could be that, you know, some babies come and they go because they truly don't want to be in this physical realm. It's important to make peace with the spirit beyond.
I want to be there for these moms too, but I don't want to be in that space anymore. Yeah, no, I don't anymore. I don't accompany mothers in the hospital birth, but I will, you know, I do bring education. I will educate them. I will, you know, bring information to them, and, you know, and just pray that they'll make the best decision for themselves. Cause that's the most, cause that hospital, I'm sensitive in it. You know, I'm a warrior. I am. I'm tapped into all my Oshunian energy, but I very much, you know, I embrace my Oya. You know, Kali is my mother. I'm tapped into a lot of dark goddess energy as well. And I will take heads off because you're not going to violate. We have to protect and respect our energy, and we can't let anybody just violate us. It's like because of, and we're coming out the trauma. So that's why I don't like to, you know, talk about it too much or like over exaggerate, like, oh, the generational traumas and get all emotional about it. Cause then you get off course. You gotta be clear. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be sharp. But it is like looking at it from the point of a scientist, a spiritualist, looking at it from that point. It's like, yeah, it's cause and effect. These are the effects, and this is how we get to the solutions.
How feminine wisdom is activated during pregnancy and how to tap deeper into it.
Our feminine wisdom is activated during pregnancy through our hormones. That's how our feminine wisdom, both feminine and masculine in our bodies, our hormones. Our hormones are essentially the physical manifestation, that feminine and that masculine essence, because design denotes purpose. So when you are born male or female, it's more than just your body. You have mechanisms in your body that are wired a certain way to your being and that essence that you embody and manifest physically. So our hormones, a lot of times, in science, it's explained to us so cold and logically, or sometimes it's mansplained, with a lot of, the doctors just being, they're in the patriarchal Western system, and then the male doctors as well. But that's what it is essentially. And we've been taught about it from the point like, okay, this is what your body is going through while you're pregnant. Like, this is happening. Like, your body's growing, your placenta is growing, your blood is expanding, but we're not aware of what that is and what these mechanisms, these functions are, and what's really happening on a much subtle level. Gestation it's a language between, and it's a conversation between mother and baby, ancestors and divine feminine. And our placenta and our pituitary glands in our bodies, they don't just produce the essential hormones that keep our body, that maintain our bodies, but they also carry that genetic and ancestral information of who we are and where we're from. So we can tap into these energies during pregnancy, through meditation, through reflection, through taking time to acknowledge the changes that are going on in our body and what's happening, to embrace it, embrace the beauty of it, embrace the discomfort of it, because pregnancy and birth is not always necessarily comfortable. It's work and it's changes that our bodies are going through. So talking to our babies, that's what we can do to access this rich abundance of feminine wisdom that's activated within us when we're pregnant.
Hey, I love it. Sorry, I had to step out for a second.
Yeah, sorry.
That's deep. Why is it important that we reclaim our birthing ceremonies? Like, for instance, we have a lot of, I know you guys are big on celebrities, but we have a lot of celebrities that just tap into their home births, or even, going back to their own country to have their baby. And the whole ceremony, like our girl Rihanna, I know Tiana Taylor had a home birth with her family. Like, a lot of people are tapping back into this realm of life. And I want to know if you can tell us why it is important to reclaim our birthing ceremonies.
That it's key in us healing ourselves and preserving and protecting ourselves as well as our children. We already know at this point the high rate of Black infant and maternal mortality and morbidity. Like, it's unproportionately high. And the medical industrial complex and its institutions, they were built on this. They were built on the experimentation and the exploitation of Black and Indigenous women, as well as people of the lower socioeconomic classes, and as well as the immigrants. Sorry, I got a little emotional about this. But I'm good though. That's the legacy of the hospitals. They're built on that, their practices. They're very warlike and very draconian. and they interrupt and go totally are the opposite of our natural birth process. So it interferes and it interrupts. You know, everything with the hospitals is fear. It's fear or it's war. Like any unique situation that might come up in a birth that it's not on the books or it's not on their timeline or considered, you know, a normal gestation or a normal labor, you know, time frame. They're ready to call an emergency and, you know, give the mother a C-section and or give a Pitocin to speed up the pregnancy, which just makes it makes the contractions feel so, you know, unnaturally, you know, contracting. It's time, you know, things change, but you know, at this point, I'm just straight into the point about things. And it's like, if you see, this is the history of these institutions and this is what's going on, has been going on, you know, why exert all of that energy trying to make a change when that's what it's on? Some changes are made, but it's to pacify, you know, it's to pacify and be like, okay, well, we did this thing and, you know, now we're putting more birth workers in the hospitals. But then you have the birth workers, you know, they're either stressed out, you know, trying to assist the mothers with what's going on, or they end up acquiescing and going along with what the hospital's doing and, you know, suggesting to the mother to go along as well. And it's like, you know, listen, we're not protected in those spaces. You're not going to have total control and power over your birth ceremony in a hospital. You can do a birth plan and how you want your birth to go. You could take that step. You could take that next step and do it at home in your own space. And if you absolutely can't have your baby at home, then you want to find a birthing house. And, you know, or birthing center, but you want to be careful about the birthing centers as well, because they, a lot of them are affiliated. They're part of the hospital, so they run the hospitals the same way. And just like, you know, the midwives, if there's a unique situation, the birthing center is going to send you back over to the hospital to have your baby in the hospital anyway. And that defeats the whole purpose of you wanting to, you know, you have control of your birthing ceremony.
We need more birthing house to create.
Yes.
A birth. Yes, we do. We need more centers and houses and just overall. The first step is getting the fear out of the people that we work with, the women that we do encounter with. And basically it's getting the fear out of their head, getting them to be unprogrammed, because that's what it really is. It's a program, you know. Hospitals are here now. This is what it is. And they are putting doulas and birth workers inside the hospitals to make it seem like, oh, yeah, they're a birth worker, but some of them are still pushing them to do things that is not traditional or that is not in a birth work and, you know, job description in my per se. I would be confused.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be a little confused. So that's why a lot of birth workers do decide not to do hospital births anymore, because we're tired of fighting. There's a spiritual warfare. Like Queen Bree was saying, oh, how can we, you know, help our clients that are, you know, not comfortable with their OB? And it's like we could do so much, you know. We give the information, we give the knowledge, the wisdom, but at the end of the day, they're going to decide to do whatever they want to do. You can't force spirituality, and it's a natural come within as a woman. Being old to the fact that doula means slave, I'm going to stop calling myself a doula.
Yeah, you can say, and it's no shade, like, you know, because some doulas get sensitive about it, and it's like, yo, like, we birth workers, we doing, it's no shade, you know what I'm saying? We just educating, that's all we have, you know? And you can call yourself a birth attendant, some of the terms of birth attendant, birth assistants, traditional birth attendant, traditional birth assistant, the terms to call yourself instead of saying doula. Yeah, because knowing the history of it, and words and spells, you know, words are spells, right? Words and grammar and language are spells. So You know, come on, we don't want to be putting spells on ourselves.
We're not slaves. Overall, being on this journey of spirituality, before I had children, I was already on this journey within healing myself, my traumas.
Yeah.
And when I met my partner at the time, he was on the same wave as I was on. To go back on the other topic to go back to the topic we were talking about, you know, being actually aligned and energetically aligned mentally and, you know, financially and all of that as well. But spiritually is a main part. So it's like you have to be on that journey within yourself before you have children, before you try to be in a relationship, because it's really not going to work. So how I keep my children spiritually aligned is I pray over them, that their eye, healing, protection, and spiritual baths or showers. They're also small, so they're like, what's going on? You know, what are you doing? But the more you do it, their spiritual aura is protected. They know what you're doing, you know, the words that you're using, the affirmation, and they're protected. You can use jewelry, their clothes, you know, their environment. If they go somewhere, make sure you're praying over them telepathically as well. You can connect with your children, so that's another way of protecting them. Like, feel anything wrong, I'm telling you something, just like when they were in your womb. And you can touch base on that too, sis. That was just a little, just some little gems.
We have to keep our children covered. And you just mentioned, you know, various tools that I myself use: jewelry, prayer, you know, praying over our children. And I like how you pointed out, you know, as you do it, you know, you do your thing, and you also you incorporate that, or you bring them into it. They're also learning, and they're going to pick that up, and then they're going to begin practicing it, and it's going to help them have clarity. It's great to do it when they're young. You know, it's a beautiful thing what our generation is doing. Like the millennials, you know, that gave birth to, what's the generation? What they now?
That's a good question.
I'll find out. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's Z, Gen Z. Yeah, it's Gen Z. So the millennial, you know, our children are Gen Z. So it's a lot. We are in some interesting times, you know, just with the technology and the access to information that they have. The Aquarian age too. The thing about Aquarius deals with the individual, but it also deals with the group, you know, brotherhood, sisterhood, and then it also deals with innovation and technology, and, you know, just open to everything and anything, and that's a good thing. But then, you know, on a higher vibration, but then on a lower vibration, that it has its implications as well, because you got a flabbergaster that's out here too, you know. And it's many different ways that, you know, our children are set up to be distracted. Being the soul that comes to evolve, it's many distractions that are set up to try to throw them off their path. So we protect them and have them covered. They're able to navigate better. They're able to navigate safely into challenges, because that's a part of life. They're going to have to deal with challenges too. They can manage it. You know, they'll be able to manage it, and they'll be able to be connected to their intuition and their inner voice.
I feel like I have old souls as children, and we learn so much from them every single day. So everything you said was alignment, resonate with that. I wanted to know if anyone had any more questions. I want to thank everyone for tapping in. To know if anyone had any more questions, anything you wanted to talk about, anything related to birthing with spirit. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for tapping in and engaging.
Yes.
We appreciate
yes.
it. We'll be
Thank you.
having some more lives. I just want you guys to just remember you take what you resonate with, and that's it. Live your life as best as you can. Don't listen to everyone. Use your intuition and follow your intuition, because that is your best teacher. Birthing in spirit is beyond what we just touch base on. It's beyond this. So it's just like, I'm so happy that I got the chance to be on live with my midwife sister Akasha, spitting gems and knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you. No, just thank you. Thank you again, sis, for having me. This live was amazing. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, everyone, again, for coming in, for tapping in. And I just look forward to us moving forward.
Yes, Ashe, Ashe. Thank you all again for tapping in. Peace to you all. Have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone.
Week ahead of you, and just rise up, stay grounded. Even when times are rough, your days are crazy, just try to manipulate your mind to get back into yourself, your source, nature, and let's continue to teach and the next generation and the generation to come, because we're the ones that is changing the cycle. Ashe.
For real. Ashe.
Love you all.
Yes, hugs and love.
Peace and love. Thank you guys so much.
Peace.